Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the PokePopCast. Today we're going to be going over August changes in the Pokemon trading card game. August is the big month. It's the World Championship is going to be coming up next week, and there's a number of things that are also happening in the month of August. So first off, Pokemon recently released a bunch of updates to their rules and tournament documents. Not a lot of changes went through them. There are a couple of things have been clarified and a couple of minor changes. So basically the updates are, and in the future we'll do some podcasts where we go into detail about all the different things that are important in those documents. We'll take segment by segment because otherwise we don't have time to cover it all in one shot. But just to go over the changes for updates. Number one, they've added a section where if a player is disqualified, they want the head judge of the event to write up a report, including statements from all judges and witnesses involved. So that will help back up Pokemon with whatever decisions they make based off of that disqualification. There's some clarification in there about players playing on stream. So streaming has become very big for the game. If a match is scheduled to be played on stream, the players are expected to play on that stream. They do not want players to back out of that, and tournament organizers should not allow players to back out of that. Players always have the option of conceding the match. There is a section added which only applies to a couple of larger events where if a judge is acting as a translator, so again, mostly at the international events or at Worlds, if a judge is acting as a translator, another judge should be the judge for that match. That's just good for optics. You don't want the other player seeing a discussion going on between the judge and the player and not being able to understand what's going on and thinking there's some kind of collusion. So that's just smart thing for judges to do, not put themselves in a position of being accused of giving an advantage to a player with their native language. There's a clarification about concessions. It's been a very strict rule that players can offer concessions. They cannot ask for a win. So it's been a little more of a gray area about intentional draws. So they specifically state in their documents now that a player may propose, and that's the language they use, propose an intentional draw. That's a little bit different than language we had heard from them before where they could offer an intentional draw. So this is propose an intentional draw. I think it's better language, but the backup to that, though, is that there can't be a lot of arguing about it or begging. The offer can be made, and the opponent can either accept the offer or not. They'd be very minor clarification discussion about, if they're not sure of what intentional draws are, but there's not a lot of negotiation involved in them. So players should not be given a long period of time to come to a resolution on that. Either the draw is going to be accepted or it's not. Now, August 18th is the big day. That's the day the World Championship starts. It's also the day that Burning Shadows, the new set, becomes legal for tournaments. So that means Burning Shadows is legal for Worlds. It's also legal for other events for the rest of August, from August 18th on. And we'll get to later, but effective September 1st, then the format's going to change again. So we'll get to that in a moment. With Burning Shadows, the only card reprinted in that had not been in the standard format and had been previously is Super Scoop Up. So Super Scoop Up comes back. Let's see. There's also an update to banned cards. Now, Pokemon does not have a lot of banned cards in the formats. There's one banned card. Actually, I'm not sure if this would be legal in standard now anyway. Lysander's Trump card. That remains banned. What has been added to the banned list for expanded is Forest of Giant Plants, which is a very powerful stadium card allowing grass Pokemon to evolve at will immediately, again and again. There's a lot of combos for that, especially in the expanded format, so they've banned that card. And since that card is now banned, they've decided to unban Shiftry which was a card that was banned because of a combo with Forest of Giant Plants. Since Forest of Giant Plants is now banned, there's no need to ban that card. The other card that has become banned for expanded is Archeops, which is a card that blocks opponents from playing evolution cards from their hand. It basically shuts down a large field of decks, and to counter it, a number of cards have to be added to decks, which basically hurt the consistency of those decks. So they've decided to ban that card. And that's it. It's a very short list. Now, as I mentioned before, this format is only going to be, with the Burning Shadows in the current standard format, is only going to be the format for 2 weeks, because effective September 1st, Pokemon has their annual rotation take effect. So, older sets rotate out of standard. Expanded is staying the same. It is still black and white on, so of course new sets get added to that as they come out. However, for a standard format, Primal Clash, Double Crisis, Ancient Origins, and Roaring Skies are all rotating out. And I gave Roaring Skies out of order there because the card that everyone plays from Roaring Skies, Shaman EX, which gives a lot of consistency to a lot of decks, that's rotating out. A couple of other key cards are also rotating out. Everyone's complaining about BS Seeker being gone. So a couple of cards that have given decks a lot of consistency are rotating out. Players are going to have to find substitutes for them, change deck strategies to compensate for the fact that they no longer have these consistent decks to make their decks run well. It'll be fun. I think it'll help the format because format's been a little quick, so slowing things down is not a bad thing. Now, one of the things that is difficult for tournament organizers and judges to keep track of is, especially when there's a rotation, is what specific cards are legal and not legal. So obviously the cards in the legal sets are legal, but there's a lot of reprinted cards throughout the history with Pokemon. Super Scoop Up was an example there from Burning Shadows coming back in, and there's a number of other ones where cards that are from older sets, going back to base set with Potion and Switch and a few other cards, and they've been reprinted over the years, and they're reprinted in currently legal sets. So those older cards, for the most part, are legal to play. There are a couple of exceptions where text has changed. For example, the Rainbow Energy from Team Rocket is no longer legal to play, even though there is a Rainbow Energy in the current format, because that original one had a different text, and that different text is not consistent with the new text. So we have at the PokeGym a list available to tournament organizers and judges and players, and we'll put the link up here, where a judge can look. So they're looking at a player's deck list, or they're looking at their deck, doing a deck check. They're not sure, is this card legal or not. So you can pull up the list either on your computer or on your smartphone. I keep links on my smartphone for this, and see which cards is this card actually legal. The way it's listed on the format is you have the set, and every card in that set that's legal in the current format is listed. And if there's any information that's required, such as this is legal because an errata was issued, so even though the text is different, there was an errata issued, so therefore it's legal to play. Or possibly it may be not legal to play because the text has changed. So, great resource. Check it out. Make use of it at tournaments. I use it literally every tournament when I'm doing deck checks. Okay? We'll be doing some interesting things when we are at Worlds next week. It's coming up very soon. And we hope to see you on our podcast there. Take care.